Hell's Kitchen. You guys, some of you guys saw this. Really a phenomenal show that we do. Built like a real building. Designed like a set. You know, there's hidden camera aisles. This is all mirror. It goes along the kitchen. And you'll see it in the next shot better. So that you can shoot everything up close. It's designing, all of this is mirror. So you can literally stand behind it for those of you who weren't there. You know, you're designing a set that has to be real, but it also has to be shootable. And they're not always compatible. And it's the balance of figuring out how do you do that. And this show is also a good example of number 13. No one does this alone. Surround yourself with the best people. When I got the show, even though I'm an architect, I don't know how to design a commercial kitchen for a restaurant. So we got Mark Peel, who owns Campanile in Los Angeles, and we got a commercial restaurant designer. And I brought him in, we sat down, we showed him what I needed it to do for camera, and they told me what it needed to do for chefs. They helped us out with season 1, and we haven't had to use them again. We learned it, but we knew we needed the help. You know, it's like, you know, know what your strengths are, know when to get the right people to help you do it. Just as important. A couple more shots. This was last season's, so if you watched it, you're familiar with it. Nothing in the world is more than 14 hours out of your reach. Hell's Kitchen is an excellent example of that. We will get, my decorator will come to me and show me a fabric, and I love it. But there's only one bolt of it. There's 30 yards. We need 100. Well, don't tell me that the factory, wherever it is, only made one 30-yard bolt. They sent out hundreds, thousands of bolts all across the world. Find where they are. If one fabric store doesn't have it, another one will. If no fabric store in LA has it, someone in New York will have it. We found a great fabric that was actually on a pillowcase this year. And I couldn't find it anywhere in stores. We called the pillow manufacturer. They had 30 yards. The pillow manufacturer gave us the name of the manufacturer in China so we could get the rest. You know, nothing is more than 14 hours out of your reach. That's because you can fly to China and get it if you have to. And believe me, I've flown stuff from China. I've flown stuff from Philadelphia. I've put it on an airliner because it's faster than overnight. You do what you need to do. So that's kind of the overview. Now, how I go through a show and work on it, I'll give you a run through a quick example of a small game show. I start working in plan. I think three-dimensionally when I work in plan. I combine it with visual research, magazine tear sheets, books, my library, go through and find images of kind of what I'm thinking of. I create a 3D computer model, and all these things happen simultaneously. I build a physical model. Well, why do both? Because a computer model is really good at lying to you. I can set a camera or a lens in a place where you could never do it in real life. And I can make a phenomenal shot that you will never get. But you can't do that in the physical model. Then we draft, bid, and revise it. We build it on stage, and we still adjust it because it's never too late to make it better. So this was the first sort of rough plan. You know, I knew what the show was. It's two people. It's a love triangle. Somebody has to decide between two people they're two-timing. So there's two entrances. There's a host. There's the two-timer, a place to sit, some playback. Early computer model. I'm playing with different surfaces and different textures on the different pieces. A little more refined. There's a little more consistency to the look. And then this is the first one that we presented to production. They felt it was a little too talk show-like, a little too stiff with just columns. They wanted something a little more that played more with the love triangle theme. So the second concept played with a triangle theme. But they felt, a rendered version of that, but they felt that these mid-ground structural elements were a little bit too strong, that there was a feminine viewership for the show, and that X was a little too macho. So I went through, first let's change the color, make it a little softer. That doesn't work. Try a different, it's a Y instead of an X. You know, make it a little smaller. Well, now let's get really frilly and make it more feminine. Not working for me. And, you know, I've shown you 3 out of 30 options I might have gone through. So I got rid of the problem. I just took them out. But I realized that, again, now I've lost my midground. And it's going to look incredibly flat when I do that. So the solution, both budget-wise and, you know, sort of tone, character-wise, was to literally do a simple set of columns with a scallop out of them. And this is what the final renderings look like that they bought off on. You know, instead of just being a column, I cut a circle out of it, put a round tube on it. There's actually a lighting instrument that goes on the end of it. And then we built a model. Looks surprisingly like the computer rendering, but it did tell us to change the height on a few things. And a set of drawings for typical drawings. Everything is elevated. The platform, we tell the shop how we want the platform more or less structured. And then we build it. This is sort of halfway through the process, not lit, but all the elements are there. Without lighting, it's not much. But when you get to the finished product, it's really pretty, you know, delicate and lacy. Very simple set, really. There's a cyc for background, and it's changed the color. This is just a 1/4 inch thick MDF that was cut out in the triangle patterns and laminated with a reflective surface. And then the midground is the columns with one more layer to sort of ghostly see through, and that can change color. And finally, nothing takes the place of working hard. Whether it's a small show like this or one of the big ones that I've shown you earlier, I will do rendition after rendition after rendition until I find what I feel is the right thing. And then I'll present that to our producers. You know, some people are lucky to be totally naturals and the first thing that they put on paper works. Most of us aren't like that. The shows change. The way they want to block the show and position cameras changes. You have to keep working at adjusting it, looking at where the opportunities are to create a better set with every step through the process. It didn't matter whether it was the first rendering. You know, when we start doing the working drawings for the shop, I put another level of detail in those drawings that aren't in the computer model, that aren't in the physical model. But so with every step, you try to take it one step forward. And ultimately, that's what I call TELE-TECTURE. And hopefully you've learned something that it took me 17 years to do. And hopefully you find TV is a little more interesting than the unglamorous reputation it has.
What's your favorite color?
What works good on TV?
What's your favorite color?
You know, I can't say that I have a favorite color. Okay, I'll tell you what, my favorite color is white. And if you look through this slideshow, half of those sets were shades of white and gray. And the reason for that is because if you color a set, red, dark blue, whatever, it's more or less going to be those colors. But if you give it shades of color, soft toning, then the lighting designer can make it pink, red, yellow, purple, whatever color you want in a given moment. And like that last set, where'd it go? This is all silver and white. There's no color in this set. It's black, silver, and white. Yet, it's full of color because of the way it's lit. White is my favorite because you can make anything of it. And my house is the same way. I let sunlight play over it, you know. Yeah.
With all the different wall textures that you have, do you like get an idea for a texture in your mind and then try and tell a shop to build it, or like do they have textures set out that you kind of decide which one you want?
Both. A lot of shops will have a catalog of vacuform textures that they have made for other shows that you can draw off of. There's always brick textures. There's always, all kinds of different existing things. But we'll make what we feel is right. I mean, I think the most important thing, when you're creating a set, is that you create the right set for the show. And I try to do that not totally without regard to budget, but that to me is the most important thing, because if you get that right, then you can distill the set to its essence to trim money if you have to. But if the core is right, then if it's missing a couple of pieces for the sake of budget, it's still going to be fundamentally the right thing. It completely changes. This was designed out of the need for, a love triangle theming. But and that's the beauty of actually the CNC and vacuform technology that we have now. You're not limited to what's in the catalog. You can think it up, and the shop can make it just about as easily as using something they already have.
So when you decide on a texture, do you work with the lighting people, or do you just kind of give them ideas like, this is what I want to do best?
I mean, you don't work with them, like shoulder to shoulder. It's their job to light the set. But in many ways, usually the production designer comes on before they've hired a lighting designer, more often than not. More often than not, I'm hired before the director's hired, because we have a longer lead time than a lot of those guys. But my first two questions are, who's lighting it and who's designing it, or who's directing it? Because how I design it is going to affect how somebody shoots it, or how somebody wants to shoot it will affect the set. I need to know the basic eye lines, for a game show or for a sitcom or for whatever I'm doing. And so by the time I've designed the set, I've already hemmed in both the lighting designer and the director as to what they can do. I've already determined where there's entrances and where there's exits, what's a decent backing, where he's got space to put a camera and where he doesn't. So it's collaborative, but you got to remember that you come first, and so you can steer them in ways. You can give them opportunities. I mean, I'll build in pockets, like on that Dance Your Ass Off, pockets where you can put lights, and I'll put the lights in. So I've already told them, you're going to turn that on sometime during the show. But, do I get to choose whether it's purple back there? Not necessarily. And, where he hangs his other lights, that's up to him. I'll, in the middle of the process, if we're doing rehearsals and I really think something isn't right, I'll go and say, look, can you try a different color on this? It's not feeling good to me. But, it's his domain, and I can't, dictate it entirely.
Okay.
Any other questions?
If you had to do it over again, would you go to architecture school, or would you go to? Realizing that you are in fact still an architect, but if you got rid of that part of it, would you have gone to architecture school or something else?
Law school. Look, architecture is a great background for what we do. It teaches you historical styles. It teaches you how to build things. It teaches you how to communicate to other people how to build stuff, which is the single most important thing. I mean, you've got to get an idea out of your head. You've got to communicate it to a client. You've got to then communicate it to a shop and the people who actually put it up. So as a background for this, it's a tremendous education. As a career path, well, it goes back to that success matrix. Which dollar sign do you really want? I left lawyer off of that. That would have been 10 more dollar signs. Yeah.
What would you say has been your favorite project? Do you have any?
I enjoy all of them for different reasons. Even something this small,